Look at you.
Look at you.
I wish I had the extensions I ordered came in on time.
Man, I actually tried to put my face on before this
You
whole
don't
thing.
even need it.
Oh, what? Oh,
Come,
no, you.
come sit at my table. I tell you all about you. Okay, so you're smart, you're really funny, you're super talented. And then there's Freska.
Oh no, man. I was like, oh gosh, man, I'm going to see Kathy. I
Oh
better
my
like
gosh.
brush my hair or something.
Oh my, I ran a comb through my hair. I haven't run a comb through this thing in like since the weekend. It's that straight.
I never use a brush or a comb.
Like even now.
I always just do this, and then I'll curl it and then leave it there, and then I'll take a piece and then I'll curl it and then.
Freska's fashion tips, the quarantine edition. Well, where you are, what you're in San Francisco, I'm here in
Yeah.
Honolulu. Bay Area gal. I wanted to talk about the radio because you're taking a little break from actually being on air now. There's a 3 hour
Yes. Oh, you
difference.
want to see my desk?
Yeah.
My little board. I got a Vox Pro. In the
Right.
Bay, I'm on from 11 to 2 on a classic rock station, and then I'm on from 2 to 7 on an AC station, and then I'm on in Sacramento on Saturdays from 12 to 5.
Or do you have a favorite format, or you're like radio is radio? I'm just happy to be working. It's good.
I mean, I started off working at a rhythmic CHR. I've always done CHR, and then
Contemporary
I
hit radio for those who are not
yes,
familiar with radio lingo.
yes, and then yeah, and that's where I was when I was working at I-94.
KIKI in Honolulu,
That
yeah.
was a CHR. As I got older, the AC kind of style was a little bit more fitting, I guess.
Mm. When you first got into the radio station, when you were living in San Francisco, you were born and raised in San Francisco, or?
Yeah. I was born and raised in the Bay. So born in San Francisco. And then when I was 1, we moved to Daly City. We're all, it's kind of like the Kalihi of the Bay Area.
Ooh, right on.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, every block there's Filipinos. Like there's, we run this town.
Oh, oh, hey.
Yeah, in Daly City. And so I've lived here pretty much all my life, except for when I lived in Hawaii for 3 years and Sacramento for about a year.
Actually, what do you remember about listening to the radio? Were you about listening to the radio or going to school dances? How did music play in your youth and informing you?
Oh man, I loved it. I loved it. It was like I was glued to my radio all the time. I listened back then to the station that I'm on now.
Shut it
So
down.
yeah, with my mom, and I remember she used to be like, you have to clean the house, and you have your chores to do, and I'm like, all right, and we have the radio on to KOIT, and it's kind of interesting that now I'm on the air. And just a side note, since we're talking about me and my mom listening, my mother has COVID and is now recovering in a nursing home, completely isolated unit. I asked if I could give her a radio to listen to me there while I'm on the air. So, it kind of has come full circle for us in that sense. But yeah, I listened to that. I listened to KMEL. Growing up, I grew up in a very listening to a lot of urban R&B music and soul and hip hop and stuff. So that was kind of like rooted in that genre of music. But I played classical piano, private lessons for like 10 years, and I was in the jazz band at school, and I
is that kind
toured
of Filipino?
Oh yeah, magpiano ka sa party. Yeah, it's like all right. Yeah, well, like many Filipinos, we grew up singing on a karaoke machine. So I thought that I was gonna be a star with my friends. We were gonna be the next TLC. It was like, but out of the 3 of us, I was the weakest singer. But I was the one that was most inclined to write and produce music. So I was like trying to write songs, and that ended up transitioning into making beats, and I got my turntables, and I was, first into the whole scene as a DJ. I wasn't actually a radio personality. I was a DJ. I was part of a mobile crew, DJ'd college parties, all this fun stuff. And then I went to a music conference that had a radio panel, talked to some of the radio guys, And in 1 month, we networked, and then in 1 month later, one of them called me and was like, "Hey, I remember I met you. You seemed like, a very, sharp, young lady." And that was pretty much my in the door. And it was Mel Thompson. That was my very first boss in radio. And I was just doing call out research, like, "Hi, you want to hear a song? Do you like it? Can you press? You like it? Is it number 5? You like a 5? Okay, you like that? You like what? I got hung up on so many times."
How many months were you doing call out research before you noticed other like on-air personalities and the activity? Because most times the research is in the evening time, like during dinner.
5 to 9. And I was there as soon as I got my foot in the door. It was like, "Hey, can I get in the production department? What can I do in the production department?" So I was interning in production while doing call out research, because I was like, I had a little studio at home, a little sequencer, my drum machine, my sampler, my little 4-track. I had my little reel to reel. I had all that stuff at home. And I wanted to, I loved being around all that.
How did you know? Like,
huh?
seriously, it's like, but how did you know? It's like, it totally makes sense when you say being raised up in the environment that in the neighborhood, karaoke, everybody's singing, there's a talent show every top of the hour, on the corner kind of thing, pretty much, somebody's cousin's house.
Yeah.
But for you to, like, who did you see? Was it like Salt and Peppa? You saw Spinderella, like, making music? Or who was in the neighborhood that you saw, like, another female? Or was it like, the guys are doing it, so why not a woman doing it?
I didn't see any other female mixing until in the early 90s, because my parents never let me go out. And so I didn't really go anywhere until I was like, I went to some clubs when I turned 19, but it was like, where are you going? Who's going with you? It was just one of my best friends, her older brother was a mobile DJ. And so we just pretty much, got to kind of know about that whole lifestyle with him coming, doing competitions and all this fun stuff. So it was cool. So I saw the mobile scene early on, didn't really know that I was going to be doing that. And they were much older than us. Well, I shouldn't say much older, but maybe at least, I don't know, 7 years older. I don't even know. It seemed as if they were like years and light years much older than we were at the time. But my mother brought home a tape recorder that she borrowed from a friend, and it was one of those that had a handle and had a speaker and then a little cassette tape at the top, and you just held, and you can press record and you can listen to yourself. And so I remember just recording my voice and being fascinated, like, whoa, like, this is cool. I could talk on this thing and hear back and sing and songs and all that. That was before we got a karaoke machine. So I was on that thing. And then my sister got me a little boom box. And then from there, I was doing these radio shows and recording the radio. And then when I got a karaoke machine, my best friend and I would make, I would force her to make little radio shows with me, like little interviews. Like we were interviewing Joe Montana, the 49ers, and like there was a flood in Florida, and there were boogers all over the place. Like it was like a storm of boogers. Like it was just a stupid little kids doing stuff, but I still have it. And it's funny because now I'm a radio personality doing these weather reports and doing interviews. And now it's my career, which is really strange how it began.
How did Freska come into being you? Was that your nickname?
Yeah, well, I made it up because my birth name is Francis, but I was like, I'm not gonna be DJ Francis. Like, that's so not cool. It's not cool. And I remember we were coming back from a promotions, doing Saturday Night Street Party, and you're out in the vans, you're doing van hits around the Bay Area and stuff. And we were riding home, and I'm in the back of the van just thinking to myself, what am I going to do, man? Like, what's very hip hop related, and that still culturally represents me and is so I thought of Freska, because Freska also means like, fresh and all the other stuff. And they're like, oh, like DJ Freska. And I got this Dickies jacket and I got my name embroidered in the back, like Freska. Like I was so I was so excited when I
That's
figured that out. I was
cool.
like, dude, that name is, that's gold right there.
Yeah.
If people call me Freska, they met me when I was 20 years old, 19 or 20. Before that, I was Francis.
So that's how you tell?
Yeah, that's, oh, you must have known her. And then some of my older friends from like grade school, they poke fun when they call me that. So.
Oh, such a hooky, great name.
Oh.
When you were doing call out research, and who did you meet that made that critical juncture in San Francisco that had you make your move to Honolulu?
Oh man, my boys. It was Alan Oda and Lanai. So I met them at the San Francisco station that I worked at, and I ended up leaving research, leaving production, leaving all of that, and just was their intern, strictly on weekends. And they were like, "Don't you ever want to do anything else? Like, you're here every weekend with us. Don't you want to kind of like go out with your friends?" And I was like, "Why? Do you guys not want me to be here?" And they're like, "No, no, no, it's not that. We feel bad for you." And I'm like, "No, I just loved radio." And so when they moved, Alan walked me to my car that night in some dark alley in San Francisco, and they were leaving in a few days or something like that. And he knew I was really sad, and I was like, "Alan, like, please take me with you. Take me with you, please. Like, can you guys just can you if you make a job for me, I promise I will run with it. I will do whatever you need me to do. I will throw the trash out. I will do whatever." A couple of months later, maybe 4 months later, I think I moved to Hawaii for $7 an hour. I put my life in 2 duffel bags and I left. And I think my parents gave me $400, I think. And I remember before I left, when I was still working at the radio station, it's in San Francisco in the financial district. And it was just, you put in a quarter and you get like 5 minutes of time in the parking meter. So at one point I was just like, forget it, man. I'll just pay this parking ticket with whatever I make today in research. And I ended up with an $800 worth of tickets. And my dad was just like, "You are not leaving me with that." So I had to do community service to pay all that off before I could even go to Hawaii. But I was like, "No problem. I will do this." And, I'm going to live my dream in Hawaii. And yeah, it was definitely lessons learned when I moved out there, both personally and professionally. But it was so much fun, and I love Hawaii so much, man. Like the people, people are like, "Oh, what's aloha? What does that mean?" I'm like, you just have to experience it because you are not going to get it here in the Bay. I remember when I came back and I wanted to walk across the street, I was just kind of like, it was like walking by and the car was like, "Meep, meep." And I was like, I forgot people don't stop here. I'm gonna get run over in my hometown, so I love Hawaii, and I miss my friends. I miss you guys.
So you were here at KIKI FM I-94.
Yep.
Who was like the morning, midday, afternoon, and night and weekend?
So when I first got there, it was Rory Shalin, Mike G, Greg Hammer, and I think Greg actually came a little bit later. But that was the majority of the morning show, and Bucky was there in the morning too.
Wow.
And then Lisa D, and then it was Scotty Blaisdell, and then at night it was me, it was Lanai's show, and me, Augie, and Kui. It was like Lanai and the Loose Crew, so I was part of the Loose Crew. They added me to it. They were already a crew, and then but it's 4 people at night, so it's kind of like, how are you going to justify having 4 people at night? That's pretty expensive, a day part. So Alan put me on overnights. And so then I was on from 12 to, 6 in the morning. And the buses weren't running when I got off the air. Maybe it was 5:30 or something like that. And in downtown, they weren't running yet. And so I would sleep under the desk in the programming office. And then there were times when Alan would come in the morning and I'd be underneath the desk, and he's like, "Yeah, you gotta leave."
It was the Wild West back then, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun, man. We had such a good time, such a great time, and And then we had, oh my gosh, I forget the name of the show now, Street Talk. And it was Lanai and Joe Onasai. And that's when they talked, you know, it was like kind of like our way to communicate with the community on very, very important topics like drugs and suicide and all that stuff. We could really talk in great length. And I still have I-94 running in my veins, man. It's 97. I got there in January of 95 and moved December 14th of 1997 on a United Airlines flight. Can't remember the number, but yeah, then there must have been like 20, 30 people that came to the airport and saw us off. I mean, it was like me and my roommate, and it was really fun. But when I left, I was on at night, and Clifton stayed on with me. Clifton, DJ Free was on too sometimes. Like they would pop in, and Mystique was there. Slick Vic was still yeah. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it wasn't all of us there at night. It was my show, but like, you know, people, you know, we were all a crew. But it was also because of budget cuts. They were like, hey, you know what, we're gonna put, instead of Sam and Freska, it's going to be Freska at night, and Sam's going to have to do overnights. And Sam is just such a talented guy, man. And there was just no way he was going to be on overnights. I mean, he was just way too talented to be doing that. So KQMQ took him, and then we're battling at night. And I was like, oh my God. The one reason why I think we worked at night was because he could be like as risky as possible with that demographic. And I would be in going, can you shut your mouth? Like, why are you even saying this to people? Like, we're going to get fired. And I'd say that on the air. And so it kind of balanced that, you know, yin and yang, and that, like, you know.
It kind of diluted, so it was okay.
It was like, digestible for the parents. Because there were times where I'm like, dude, we are going to be fired.
We're going to lose our license.
Yeah.
We're going to get fired. We're going to get blacklisted.
Yeah, but I would say that Sam is one of the most talented radio folks I've ever worked with. I love that dude.
I got to give credit to you, though. I mean, you were here for 3 years, like barely 3 years here in Honolulu. And when I mention your name amongst radio folk, they're like, oh, the want to like gush about you, and also like stories. Yeah. Because you left quite the impression, and some people, like I was talking to Jimmy the Geek, I a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he's such
and so I just told him this morning. I said I was supposed to talk to Freska, but I don't know how it's gonna be this morning. And behind his Chicago Cubbies face mask, he's just like, Freska, how's Freska doing? You know, it was just like, so. He says hello.
Oh my God! Tell him I said hi too. I should reach out to him. I just remember when Alan and Lanai was living and working in the Bay, they gave me these like local boys tapes and stuff. They had the 3 local boys, and it was kind of like, it was either one of them was singing, sometimes it was with Ryan, or it was with Jimmy, and it was like just a different combination of all of them. And I was just like, I remember hearing these songs on KMEL. I remember Rice Baby and all of that stuff. And I was like, you guys did this? Like, God, I'm working with you guys. This is insane, you know? And, but at the time, we didn't talk to our competitors. We didn't talk. It was like, we don't talk. We're not friends. We don't talk to you. I remember when I first met or heard Wendy from Waianae on the air.
Girl.
And I was intimidated by that. I was intimidated by her. I never told her this, because she just sounded so like she can connect in a way that I couldn't, because she was local girl and I was, you know, from the Bay, and people knew that when I worked there. And it was like, who's this street girl? You know, like trying to sound like she's from Cali, or is she really from Cali, or is she some wannabe like local girl saying that she's from San Francisco? I mean, it was, and then later on, Wendy and I became friends, and I think it may have been either before I moved, I can't remember, but it's also when I learned how to support other women in radio. Yeah, I was also not very confident of myself at that time too, where it was like, I can't, you know, what if she beats me in the ratings? You know, it was like, it was very competitive like that. you know, and now I just kind of like it, we can be competitors, but we can love and support each other at the same time. So
Yeah. Well, I think the 1990s,
yeah,
at least in
Wendy was
Honolulu.
bra, 2 cents Tati.
Oh,
Tati, so
Tatiana.
much on, girl.
So
but
when,
I saw my old roommate here, was on here, David Bourne.
you guys were housemates?
When I first moved to Hawaii, Buana Mike was not. He was one of the personalities on I-94. Buana Mike was on vacation for like a month, and so they were like, "Well, we have a room that's available for a month and a half, since our the roommate isn't here. So if you want to stay with us, And I was like, okay, because I was like right across the street. So I was like, oh, okay. So that worked out.
What was the return invitation back to San Francisco from Honolulu in 1997? Where were you heading back?
I wanted to go back to college.
Okay.
I wanted to finish school. So, and it was it was really a blessing that I came at the time I did, because I came back in time for Christmas in December of 97. And then about 9 months later, in October of 98, my dad got really sick. He had to have open heart surgery, and, my sister was living abroad. So it was just me taking care of my father and my mom. My mother was still working, but I had to quit all of my classes in the daytime.
Oh.
And then also quit working in, because I was also doing promotions. When I came back, I was working promotions and on-air personality on the weekends. And so promotions during the week, on-air on the weekends. And so I kept the weekend gig, and then I had to give up the promotions gig to take care of my dad. And so I would take care of him in the daytime, and then take my classes at night, and then do radio on the weekends. So broadcasting, but an emphasis in television production. So going out and doing stories and putting together packages and doing that kind of stuff, which was really fun. But how martial arts came about. Oh, it's fun. I'm really open about this now, but when I was younger, I'll come off to the side. When I was younger, my dad was a very violent guy. He was an alcoholic, and he was a boxer. And he was a boxer for the Philippines, and he was supposed to be in the Olympics. And he busted his thumb, the year that he was supposed to compete. But he was a very aggro guy. So I love my dad. I loved my dad. He was one of my best friends. So there was a very big struggle there with, you're not doing the right thing, but I love you. You can't be beating on my mom and, my sister. And I never got beat, but I got the verbal abuse, the emotional abuse, and all that other stuff. So when and he never wanted me to do martial arts. He never, although as young as 3 years old, he was teaching me how to box, because he raised my sister and I like we were boys. We had to do construction with him, because he had construction sites, and we would go with him, and we had to work as part of his crew. So always kind of into boy stuff, or the rough and rugged kind of.
Or what is traditionally
boys, men, whatever thing. So when I got older, I kind of took on that kind of personality that my father kind of made me to be, almost, I guess, And so I had really horrible anger issues. It was really bad. There were holes in the house because I'm kicking the, it was just bad. I found comfort in martial arts, but also telling myself that I will never get beat the way my father used to beat on my mom. I will never do that. And if it ever happened, I would die trying. It was that kind of attitude. But through that, I learned to become so much more patient, because I got beat down in some of those.
On the mat.
Yes.
On the mat.
Yeah, and so it humbles you, because your ego gets beat down, your body gets beat down, and you just kind of learn how to control. You start to learn how to control those emotions, or else something will end up controlling you if you can't harness that kind of energy to just learn so much. I still can tend to be a little bit temperamental, I guess. I don't know.
Great word. Great word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes they're like, Mom, you need to relax. Yeah. And my boyfriend that I've been with for a while, he tells me, we both check each other when we get into like these little fits of, he doesn't ever get into these fits of rage, but, if he starts to raise his voice at me, I always tell him like, I don't tolerate that. So I'm going to hang up the phone, and then he'll say the same with me where it's like, okay, you're getting loud. I'm gonna hang up,
That's so
so.
great, that self-awareness that you have. It takes a while for
Oh, I'm
people to
constantly
just,
working on it.
well, I mean, that's good, 'cause
Yeah.
I think everybody who acknowledges, I think that's like the tough thing is when we discover we get angry about things and then you get to the root of it.
Yeah.
There's like two roads you can go. Either you work on it or continue to be angry, but then you become an a-hole about it because you know why you're doing it, so stop doing it or find some way to address it.
The pride. It was the pride too. And I think a lot of that also kind of in radio, like you have a lot of pride of who you are as a personality, but there's always room to I think, open yourself to help others, like now, like, even like, for example, one of my really good friends is, I compete against him on another station. We're sister stations. He does afternoons there, and he's an amazing personality, and he has always been more than happy to help me, and I learn a lot from him, and his name is St. John, and he's an amazing personality.
The voice.
Yes, Saint, and he's just so good.
That's so
I've definitely changed. When I was in Hawaii. Oh my God.
Running wild.
Yeah, it was crazy. Going to Rhythm House, going to the Groove, World Cafe.
See, there we go.
Hey.
Yeah. He was going to ask me a production question because we work in the same building together.
Yes.
Can you give me 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I say bye.
Bye. See you later, Scotty B. Yeah, and Scotty was always super cool too when I was there. Always so everybody. Sam and I used to argue. Sam and I used to it was like brother and sister type stuff. Like, you're getting on my nerves, man. Can you shut up? Like stuff. And he'd tell me stuff like, quit being a hag, man.
Oh my gosh.
You old hag, get out of here. I'm like, wait, who you calling hag? Like stupid stuff. And yeah, he's amazing. I hope I should call him. But yeah,
we're just happy to be working. Yeah. So anybody looking for a female voice talent, I'm Kathy with a K, and that's Freska. Yes. We're available for hire.
Yes. Imaging work as well. It's commercials.
Yeah. Where you are now, how long have you been with your current stations?
I have been with KOIT for about 4 years. 4 years, and I love it too because it's a union station, and so you have these amazing benefits. Like healthcare is amazing with the union. And but also, Bonneville is an amazing company to work for. They're amazing. Like, they really care about their people. They haven't furloughed anyone. They haven't let go of anyone. So just really thankful. Yeah. Where the boss actually calls you and says, how you feeling today, man? Are you good?
Wow.
And even his boss is like, how's your family? How's your mom? How's everything going? And I'm like, everything all right? No, they were actually very, very kind.
Meeting other people and finding out why radio, because people ask me like how I got into it, and it's just like timing. It was just a timing thing, just having to be at the right place at the right time. Saying yes to all the overnights and swing shifts and things like that.
Back in the days, it was you took what came. Like, that was it. Like,
yeah.
You just never know when that person doesn't show up and they're going to need you. And it's like, that's what happened.
And it's funny, the frequency that happens. Somebody's
That's
like
really
hungover.
happened.
They didn't check the schedule.
Well, I remember Sam and I were on for, I don't know, I think it was like 16 hours straight or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's when we got, by the end, and I still have that air check. When I was delirious by the time he and I got back on the air together at like 6 a.m. We were on at 6 at night, and then he came back on and was on with me at 6 a.m.
What had happened? How come you guys had to be, was it a telethon or radiothon or something?
No, just the person didn't come.
Oh!
So we were on from 6 to 10, and then there was a mix show from 10 to 12 that I hosted, and then the relief was supposed to come from 12 to 6, and he never showed up. And Sam had to be back on at 6 from 6 to 10. And so I was like, okay. So he took off, and he came back, I think, at like 2 a.m. So I did some breaks with him at 2 a.m, and we recorded some stuff, and I played it back like he was still there with me the whole night. And then at 6 o'clock, when I was supposed to get off the air and he was on, he was like, "You want to just stay on the air?" I was like, might as well. Shoot. I mean, I don't, it's not like I got to ride home right now. The bus isn't running.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. And so we were on, I think, till 10. And then our boss called us. Alan was like, "Dude, you guys are hilarious right now. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. How about no sleep?" I haven't been asleep. And people called up and goes, "Why are you guys still on?" I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah. It was so fun. But I really loved being on with Sam. What a fun guy, man. So off on some other world with ideas and creativity that like I mean, I love that guy. I say that all the time, like I love that guy. And I remember I would talk about him, and I remember, I think my boyfriend asked me, were you guys ever dating? And I'm like, Sam? No. You'll have to ask him about Frank DeLima's Portuguese bean soup.
He still does it every year.
I know he does. But this is what happened. I can tell you.
Should we save this for off?
No.
I don't know. Okay.
This is, well, I don't know. Sam and I, every time we talk to each other, one of us brings it up, usually me, because it's just funny. He brought it, Frank DeLima, which is amazing, his Portuguese bean soup. Like you said, he drops it off in Christmas time, and it was dropped off early in the morning. And we were on at night, and it was just sitting in the kitchen table,
without being put in the fridge.
So us were like, "Oh, what's this? Hey,
no.
Frank DeLima, you dropped it off." Like, "Oh shoot, I'm hungry. All right, let's eat it."
Oh no.
Me and Sam ate it, and so did Slick Vic.
Vic works here too.
Slick Vic ate, I couldn't even tell you how many bowls of this thing. Okay. 4 o'clock in the morning, I was in the toilet. It was like Montezuma. I don't know what's happening. I was like, this is all bad, man. Oh shoot. It was like I'm not even getting more graphic. I can be more graphic.
No.
But I won't do it. And so I was like, I can't go to work. I'm supposed to be back on the air at 10 o'clock. Like, I cannot. This is crazy. I can't do it. I can't. I'll call Sam. Maybe Sam will be able to do it. I call him up, and his mom answers the phone, and I would call her mom, right? Because it was just like, I'm her kid too, So I was like, he's like, "Hey, Freska, how are you?" And I'm like, "Can I talk to Sam?" And she was like, "Oh, Sam's not feeling good right now." I'm like, "Is he in the bathroom? Is he in the bathroom?" And she was like, "Yeah, he's in the bathroom right now." And I'm like, I've been in the bathroom since 4 o'clock. Maybe we have the same thing. Can you give him the phone, please? So she's like, knocking on the door. Sam, it's Freska. She'd like talk to you. She's like, she's not feeling good, whatever. And so he's like, "Hello." And I'm like, "Are you taking a dump?" And he's like, "Are you dumping right now?" "I've been dumping since like 4. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I don't know." I was like, "Dude, it was Frank DeLima's bean soup, dude. We didn't put it in the fridge, man." And so he was like, "Yeah, I don't feel good, man. This is, I can't." Well, so I was going to ask you if you could cover for me. He's like, no. So I called JP, And so JP filled in for me from 10 to 2. And I think I was well enough to come in at 2 o'clock. And then when I got off at 6 o'clock, that's when Sam came on. And around that time, Vic was there. Like nothing, like he didn't even eat any of it. I was like, how did you escape this? Like you ate more bowls than we did. But it's Vic. So,
Yeah.
so
He's got an iron stomach.
Yeah. I was like, you escaped this. How did that happen? So every time I think of Frank DeLima, I think about how sweet he is to do that for all of these stations. And then, the lesson learned is like, put it in the fridge.
Yes.
Because, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
But that's the thing. At radio stations, we have a tendency whenever there's food. I mean, we could have just had lunch. We could have our own leftovers. Anytime there's food in the station, some reason it's like we have like a fourth stomach or something. It's just like we got to eat it.
When you talk to some of the folks from I-94 back in the days, ask them about Freska and food. Because they would hide their food from me because I ate so much. They would be like, hey, you know what? Freska's coming. What? Hey, hide your stuff, bro. What? Yeah. So they'd put it in the fridge or they'd put it somewhere else. And I'd open the door and they'd be like, hey, what's up, Fresh? What's up? Have you ever watched Friday when Felicia's like, what y'all smoking on? I'm like, I don't smoke. But it was more of like, that's how I was with food. Like, what you got in your bag? It's like, nothing for you. And I was like, I wasn't that bad. They're like, yeah, dude, we used to hide your food from you. I'm like, telling lies.
What musical instruments did you have affinity for when you were in school? Trombone and what else?
Well, because I played, so I was forced to play piano. So at the same time I was taking private piano lessons, I was also playing clarinet. But I wanted to play the drums, but they were like, nope, that's for boys and it's too loud. So I was like, all right. So they're like, you're gonna play the clarinet. You're going to play the clarinet. I sucked at it. I hated the clarinet. I was horrible at it. And then when I had an opportunity to put my clarinet aside and fill in the brass section in our band at school, I was in advanced band in like a week. So it was one of those like, well, because when I could read both treble clef and bass clef, so that made it a little easier. All I needed to learn were the different positions on the slide. So it was like, cool. And so I just stuck with it, and then I ended up touring. By the time I was in high school, before I graduated, I got to tour Japan with an exchange program with the Monterey Jazz Festival, and which was awesome. So we got to play with Dizzy Gillespie. That was the last year that the high school players got to play with him. But we got to tour Japan. We got to play in the Jazz Festival in Japan, the Monterey Jazz Festival in Japan, and then we played again in the fall here. And that's when we got to play with him. But we also got to play with like Maynard Ferguson and all of these other cool jazz and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing program. I played for a reggae band called Native Elements. So I put the horn section together, but then I left because I was doing too much. I was on the track team in college and also doing radio. And so my parents were like, what the hell are you doing? You can't do all that, And so I decided to go the radio route and put the horn away. And then a year and a half, I moved to Hawaii.
If you hadn't gone to Honolulu to pursue radio,
yeah,
that you were going to opt into going to the Air Force. Was it for the GI program so they would pay for college? Or
my parents didn't want me to do anything with music, but I was not academically inclined in any subject, science, math, English. It was like, if I was maybe do PE and I could become a PE teacher, then
it's surprising that you would have any kind of question of confidence of ability, because you are beyond well-rounded.
But to my parents, it wasn't. So that was kind of like, okay, well, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do music. Why don't you just go into the military? And I was like, all right, well, then I'll enlist into the Air Force. And so a week before I was supposed to do that, I got a job, and I already taken the tests, and I got a job in radio. And I was like, told my recruiter, and he was pissed. I was like, well, no,
because you would have been a feather in his cap. That's why. We have 30 seconds. So I just want to thank, I'm so glad that we got to chat, and you're my new friend. I
know, this is crazy. This is only the second time we've ever spoken.
I know. Last night. We don't count last night.
I know. Oh my God, hi, Kathy.
So we got 10 seconds, but I will continue to be in touch and reach out to the I-94. I want to see that I-94 Zoom chat. I
Okay,
think
okay,
it'll be hot.
for sure. Okay,
Okay.
bye
Bye.
guys.